political temperature is rising as the JLP and the PNP clash over the appointment of Dennis Chung, and that is to head the FID, which is the Financial Investigations Division. While the JLP defends the decision, the PNP has voiced strong opposition, questioning the process and the suitability of the appointment. Is this just political noise, or are there deeper concerns at play? We dive into this issue this evening. Lead Story starts now. Welcome. You are watching Lead Story. I am Sondre Roden, your host this evening. And of course, yesterday, Thursday, the opposition held a press conference voicing strong disapproval of Dennis Chung's appointment to the Financial Investigations Division as its chief technical director. If you are hearing about this for the very first time, don't worry. My producer has been preparing for this, and there's a background piece to bring you up to speed.
The opposition People's National Party PNP issued a stern ultimatum to the governing Jamaica Labour Party JLP on Thursday, demanding the immediate rescission of the appointment of Dennis Chung as Chief Technical Director of the Financial Investigations Division, FID. The PNP contends that Chung's appointment raises serious concerns about transparency, conflict of interest, and governance. At a press conference held Thursday, PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell described the appointment as deeply troubling and warned that there will be actions if the government fails to reverse the decision within 72 hours.
I am very concerned about the path that we are on as a country. I am a proud Jamaican, but I am ashamed of my government. I am ashamed of this JLP government. We are giving this government 72 hours to rescind this appointment. And if they do not rescind it, there will be actions all over Jamaica.
In response, the JLP has come out in defense of the appointment, accusing the PNP of political grandstanding and what it called hypocrisy. Speaking at a press briefing on Thursday, Information Minister Senator Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon said the selection of Chung was made through the proper channels, in keeping with established procedures and with the requisite approvals.
There is a process that we go through. The position is advertised. Individuals apply. There is a panel that's put together that shortlists candidates, and then there is an interview process that takes place, and there is scoring. The members of the committee score each of the persons, and then they make a selection. So there is a process that would have been followed, and from all the information I've been given, that process was followed.
Dennis Chung, a chartered accountant and former director of First Global Financial Services and the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission, has been a prominent figure in public discourse, often weighing in on fiscal and economic matters. His appointment has triggered debate among civil society groups, with some voicing concerns about his stance on matters involving Integrity Commission reports of the Prime Minister's statutory declaration. The FID, which plays a critical role investigating financial crimes, including money laundering and fraud, operates under the Ministry of Finance. We discuss on Lead Story. Angela Melville for Lead Story.
Yes, there's definitely some tension there, but don't go anywhere. My guests will weigh in on the issue right after this break.
These days, challenges are everywhere and things are constantly changing, but independent living remains the same. Rising above physical challenges, we can help you do it. For years, we have been Jamaica's trusted provider for solutions to improve patient care, safety, and the general quality of life. No matter your age or your physical limitation, we are the caring store waiting to serve you. It's time to experience independent living. Visit us today. Every child deserves a home filled with love. When hope meets heart, a new journey begins.
Welcome home, David.
Welcome, David.
Make it your own.
Family is built on moments shared.
Go, David, yes!
Every smile and every shared moment connects us with a brighter future. Here, you're not just welcomed, you're family. Foster hope, foster love, foster a child today. Contact the CPFSA for more information.
Welcome back. You're watching Lead Story. Financial commentator and chartered accountant Dennis Strong is set to assume the leadership of the Financial Investigations Division on Monday, June 2nd, but his appointment hasn't come without controversy. Drawing strong opposition from the People's National Party, the PNP, and support from the governing Jamaica Labour Party, JLP. Joining me now to unpack the heart of the matter is civil society advocate Carol Narcisse, and we should have public commentator Jermaine Barrett with us as well, but as of right now we have Carol starting out this conversation. Carol, good to have you here on Lead Story. I'm not hearing Carol. Can we just unmute for me, please, Carol? She says she isn't muted. I think I'm hearing it a bit. All right. Okay, so what we were looking at a 72-hour call from the opposition. Some will call it a threat. Some will call it just a statement on a political platform. But persons are looking far and wide to see what exactly will come of it. Of course, we've had appointments in the past that have been questioned. Even before, we saw a question as it relates to the appointment of the acting director of corruption prosecution at the Integrity Commission. And we see these things coming up in the political foray this year. So we're going to turn to Carol. Carol, can I hear you now clearly?
I think you can.
All righty. I'm hearing you very much clear.
Good.
Right.
Excellent.
So I want to ask you first, what was your initial reaction to the appointment of Dennis Strong as the head of the FID?
Right. So I think it's important that we as citizens have an understanding of what the FID does, what it's about, right? And that understanding would then put in perspective and help us to wrap our brains around the suitability of the current appointee. So the Ministry of Finance and the Public Services website says that the main objectives of the division are to investigate allegations of money laundering, financial crimes and corruption, detect, deter, and aid the prosecution of offenses committed under the various acts dealing with financial crimes, and collaborate with overseas bodies in fighting transnational crimes under the Mutual Assistance Criminal Matters Act. So its mission is to deter, investigate, and prosecute financial crimes. Now, when you read that as a citizen, it would not be unreasonable for you to conclude that the head of such an agency would have a strong law enforcement background, a strong legal background, a strong background in financial crimes, global treaties, legislation, etc., the national legislative framework and policies, and so on and so forth. So my in reaction to the announcement of the current appointee, Dennis Strong, was I do not know him to have that background. And I'm particularly framing it in that way because perhaps he does. And I just don't know. So the public is in its rights to say, we do not know Mr. Chung in the context of law enforcement financial crimes investigation, on, dealing with the national and global legislative and policy and treaty matters with respect to financial crime, detection, deterrence, investigation, and prosecution. So on the level of qualifications for the position, a question mark arises. And then when you look at
before you go beyond
Sure.
the qualifications aspect, I wanted to ask questions from the other side. There is a pushback on that to say, hey, this man has a master's, he is trained in forensic accounting, and then the word in financial investigations division that's very important along with investigations is financial, and he has a very strong financial background. So we're talking about coming from DBNG, JMMB, BGLC, boards, etc. What do you say to people who would say that, but he has a very strong financial background, Carol, you're only focusing on investigations? What do you say to people that are saying that?
Okay, so a financial background is a very broad term, right? If I've worked in banking, that does not necessarily equip me for working in financial crimes, deterrence, detection, prosecution, policymaking, legislative, understanding the legislative framework around those issues, engaging at the international level with the treaties and so on that we have signed, advising the government as to what are the strategic moves to be making with respect to financial crimes detection and deterrence. So working in banking and finance do not of themselves prepare you for that kind of role. In the same way that being a nurse is important, but being a nurse who administers, that drug that puts you to sleep.
Morphine, or is it morphine?
No, oh dear. Those drugs that you are given when you are needing to be put under for a procedure,
sedatives, etc.
Whatever you call them.
Yeah.
Anesthesiology. Oh my, there is the
there
word.
You go.
No, a nurse who works in anesthesiology comes with a set of requisite skills, competencies, and experience that a general nurse. So you couldn't say, well, you're a nurse, so why can't you work in anesthesiology? No, every discipline has its peculiar set of knowledge, skills, training, experience, etc., that the generic discipline does not necessarily give you.
So the government is saying, Carol,
but one second though. One second. Let us look at what the advertisement now said in November of last year.
Yeah.
The advertisement said that the qualifications and experience were postgraduate degree in management, administration, criminal justice, law, or equivalent qualification. Then minimum of 12 years of experience in law enforcement or equivalent, and minimum of 5 years at a senior level of law enforcement or equivalent. So the announcement in November matched what is described on the Ministry of Finance's website in terms of the focus of this division, and therefore the competencies that the head of that division needs to come with. No, there's an article now out in...
Carol, before you continue, I'm being reasonably informed that they took out that aspect of the advertisement. After
That's
that,
where
they
I'm
took
going.
out the aspect
That's where
of,
I'm going.
law enforcement and the 12 years of experience at that level.
Absolutely. That's right. Now the question is why? Why? Bear in mind that most of the previous heads of the division have had a law enforcement background, right? Now, that would suggest that there was an understanding that that background was important and necessary, beneficial to the role. The announcement in November is consistent with that view. persons were shortlisted on the basis of that announcement, and no candidate was selected. And so a new announcement was done, and that requirement was taken out. So citizens are in their rights to ask why. Why is that requirement now out? What has changed about the role and function of this division and the requirement of the head that would have that be taken out of the mix? If between November of last year and January of this year, you have very different qualifications being put out, something changed.
Just hold it there for me.
What?
Hold it there for me, Carol. Something to ponder on for my viewers. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to delve a little bit deeper into this conversation around Dennis Strong's appointment to the FID. Stay with us.
Join my private room. Only $1,000 for a grand time.
That I know me. We never said that. But who going to believe me?
That is correct. $4,350,000. Yes, go ahead. $4 million? I never approved that.
Yes, me I go doctor tomorrow. So me have to get the money today, no longer. Then no me face that. We never make no record or beg nobody no money.
Deepfakes are AI-generated images and videos made to look and sound like people we know and trust. They're used to spread misinformation, destroy reputations, and are used to commit fraud and scams. Don't fall victim to deepfakes. Protect yourself. For more information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or scan the QR code on screen.
Get ready for a powerful night of worship. Jesus All the Way, a fundraising worship encounter presented by the Jamaica Seventh-day Baptist Conference of Churches on Sunday, June 29, Randy Williams Entertainment Center, featuring Kevin Downswell, Rhoda Isabella, Alicia Taylor, Kevin Heath, Nadine Blair, and Perpetual Sounds of Praise. Gates open at 4 p.m. Showtime 6 p.m. Tickets available at SpurOpen.com. Jesus All the Way, a worship encounter with a purpose. Sunday, June 29, Randy Williams Entertainment Center, powered by Stuart Soto, Love FM, Mellow FM, Gospel JA.
Save when you charge your electric vehicle with JPS. It's even more affordable than gas. Our Charge and Go network offers the fastest electric vehicle chargers, so you can power up in as little as 30 minutes. With over 39 charging points island-wide, you'll always find a convenient place to shop, eat, work, or relax while you recharge. The Charge Lab app and Charge and Go RFID card make it easy to pay and track your charge right from your phone. Start charge. Learn more at jpsco.com/charge and go.
You're back with us. It's Lead Story right here on CVM TV. We're talking about Dennis Strong's appointment to the Financial Investigations Division as its Chief Technical Director. I have with me Carol Narcisse. We should have had Jermaine Barrett, but so far Carol and I have been having a really good chat. So I want to go into this next question. Do you believe, Carol, that the concerns raised by the opposition are valid, or is it just political posturing? That's a major question in this one. So what do you think about their conversation and concern?
The opposition is very capable of speaking for itself. So I'm going to stay away from the opposition government conversation. I want us to have a conversation as citizens of a country that ranks very high internationally or low internationally for financial crimes, right? We're on all sorts of tiers that are not favorable. There have been improvements, but internationally, we don't have a good reputation, right? We are seen as a risk country for financial crimes, for, you know, the illicit enrichments by all sorts of means, money laundering, etc., etc. So the citizenry We, the citizenry, have an interest in making sure that the agencies that are set up for investigation have the requisite people with the requisite skills at the helm and do their jobs without fear or favor.
All right, let me put it this way, Carol, before you go into that point.
Yeah.
The opposition seems convinced that this will erode public trust in the FID. And based on what you're saying, I want to understand what's your view on public trust in the FID.
So I am making an argument that says, if you have an agency that the requirement for the boss having a strong law enforcement background has been the practice, as is explained in Laverne Barrett's article in the Gleaner newspaper, has been the practice over the last 2 decades. Heads of the Financial Investigation Division have, for the last 2 decades, had law enforcement backgrounds, right? Beginning with Mike Surridge, says the article, a former cop from the United Kingdom, coming through to Calvin Small, Justin Felice, Selvin Hay, Robin Sykes. All of these are former directors with strong, long law enforcement background. So now we fast forward, we're in 2025, Jamaica doesn't have a good reputation. A new head is being searched for. You have a description of the position and qualifications in November of 2024, still prioritizing a law enforcement background. You have 6 candidates that are shortlisted. They are not selected. And by January of 2025, you have a new post go out, a new advertisement going out that has taken out the law enforcement, the 2 decades requirement out of the mix. We have to ask, why is that? What caused that to happen? Okay, what is different about the role of this entity that would have that no longer be a relevant background for the person heading the institution to have? 1. 2, in the person of Dennis Strong, someone for whom I have the greatest of respect, let me say that up front, right? In the person of Dennis Strong, you have 2 things. 1, someone who does not come with the same type of qualifications that the 2-decade other directors have come with. And 2, also comes with having made public statements, which he's in his right as a citizen to make, but public statements in which he has taken issue with the report of the Integrity Commission with respect to, in this case, matters to do with the Prime Minister. Now, let's take the personalities out.
Right.
The Integrity Commission has an investigative process, right? So if you are going to call into any kind of question or make light of their findings, you want to make sure that you have had the benefit of the information that has gone into the investigation. Now, Mr. Chung has expressed opinions that suggest that the Integrity Commission's report is not robust, right? And that he does not find some of the findings of the report. He finds that those findings could be explained.
Well, on that point, Carol, the statements made by him would have been basically pointing to him finding the report kind of incomplete, not saying anything definitive.
On what basis?
Right. So he just read the report and that was what he said. Those were his public comments. So do you think, the question to you before you jump in is, do you think the appointments that we make, these very important appointments that will have public scrutiny, should they involve wider public vetting, or should the process be so open that there's no question being asked of what exactly is going on and why is this person, this elected candidate?
The answer to all those questions from my point of view is yes. I And so this particular selection process begs for some answers, all right? Why a multiple year qualification requirement, why was it removed? The Office of the Services Commission does need to indicate why that is. What were the qualifications of the other shortlisted candidates? You know, in other jurisdictions, some positions are open to, and it is something for Jamaica to look at, right? Some positions are open to a confirmation process.
Yes.
A transparent public confirmation process. And if you've ever watched those confirmation processes, your opinions that you have expressed are taken into account.
Yes. On that point,
if you're
Carol,
being considered to be a judge.
Yes. On that point,
if you're being considered to be a judge or so on, your comments are taken into account. Why?
Yes.
Because the process wants to ensure a level of impartiality that is going to be with you and applied.
Right. So on that point, Carol, let me see if I can jump in and ask this very important question before we have to go. All right. So the argument that persons who are defending the appointment, not just government, but other persons I've heard in the space, they've been saying, hey, but this is a leadership role. It's administrative. He'll have the forensic team, etc. Furthermore, he went into NSWMA. He did well there as a leader, not necessarily because of his accounting background. He went into JFF. He did well there as general secretary. He doesn't have a sports background. That is the argument. The argument as well I've heard is that they were trying to find a commissioner for the police force, and they had to go to the army to get Major General Anthony Anderson. Now, tell me in 30 seconds, what do you say to those